Inicia the team.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Monday, June 3rd. We got another chart talk coming at you. It is 105 here on the West Coast. That means it's 405 out east by Bennett. Mr. Party Man. Still wearing party clothes. I like it.
I had to put it on.
How was it? How was the party? See a lot of members? Any good stories for us?
It was good. I mean, Maurice pulled up in the off-roading Lambo, which was always fun to see. Like it's got like knobby tires on it and shit. But it was a great turnout. Surprisingly, more members than I thought came. Garden party theme was definitely a success. Good times and funny stories exchanged. Higgins was there with his Rolex he won from that football pool, which was funny to see. It's like $200 $30K watch they got.
Nice.
So definitely good crew of people. It was good to see even some prior members that were with us in the past that were able to swing by for a little bit. So definitely a good meetup. We'll do another one in a few months. But yeah, it's definitely good seeing everyone catching up and sharing some funny stories.
Love it.
But with that, Jake, we'll pass it over to you. Go over see what's going on with the market and take from there.
Yeah, so I mean, real quick, before we get into the charts, we had a decent little pullback in the market last week. We pulled in 533 was all-time high SPY. We made a low of 518, so it's at 3% pull-in. And then buyers came back pretty ferociously. So still got the trend on our side in this market. It's there's a lot of really nice things setting up. I'm actually looking forward to the rest of this week pretty nicely. I was kind of glad to see we sold off the beginning half of the day after that rally we had Friday. But let's just hop into the charts. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I got an S&P up here. Intraday. This is what I'm talking about. Let me get these moving averages out of here. Little pullback in the market. Definitely a little topping pattern formed over the past couple weeks. Right here. We start pulling in, starts looking like the selling's getting pretty aggressive, and then Friday, huge bid comes in, rips us from 518 all the way to close at 527 in the SPY, about 1.5% move right there. Remember, we pulled in 3% from highs, and then end of the day Friday, in about 30 minutes, we ran 1.5% off lows. So remember where the trend is, So market's looking pretty good. A lot of things setting up. What I was happy to see mostly today was the 10-year get crushed. That is, the biggest thing holding down the market from really, really ripping. And the action these last few days, really, really nice. We like to see it come in, lower high. Now, hopefully, it just kind of breaks this channel downward. That would be ideal if we just, rates start to get crushed here. And would expect some good moves out of the market. So I got a bunch of names I'm looking at. You want me to go through them first?
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't really do much today. I just kind of wanted to see the action. But we closed the week with some really strong oil moves. And then today, crude just dumped. So all these names that we were looking at coming into the day, like FTI, absolutely smoked. SM, another one. Bang. Exxon. Oh, so all the oil names got smoked. And they started diving right off the open. So I hope no one took any of those names to the long side. But what we did see, biotechs woke up today in a serious fashion. I noticed a lot of names off lows, like this ACLX showed some relative strength in the morning. Definitely going to watch this one coming out of the base. Our boy Crisp, nice little base here. We break this 200-day to the upside. It looks like it really gets going. 58.25 is today's high, so I'll watch that area. And then a lot of the names we were watching kind of just came in from highs. I'm watching this BECN. Opened up at the resistance level, sold off, recovered a little bit. That's great for the setup. So now just so happily buy through that 98.10 tomorrow. Pins, failed this 42. If it wants to reclaim this 42, I'll look to get long there. UCTT, I didn't put this on a shakedown. I was watching it, but setting up really nicely for this just clean 48 break, consolidating now below the level. Industrial name, they've been strong just like that BECN. And then I have a huge list, and I think this Reddit is just setting up so nicely. It's a wide name, and it's been pretty annoying. But if you look at the weekly chart, it's working on its third inside week right now. And if you want to look at The daily, we got this huge cup. And now we have this really nice handle forming. So if it can push higher through the 60 area, I think it's just going to absolutely launch. It's a very difficult name to trade. It's very up and down, very wide. So, you really got to know your levels in this name. But I think through 60, that one really gets going. And then I just have a huge list of names where I'm really just waiting for these things to set up. This Chewy, I hope it doesn't just go. I hope it kind of just chills. And it's a lot of retail stocks. Retail stocks going crazy. It's Best Buy looks like it's just this Best Buy weekly. Looks like it's just gonna run up to this level. What else is there? Dick's Sporting Goods. Glad to see it fail today. Want to see this flag, this earnings flag set up. Looking for an entry through the highs over there. Dutch Bros. Nice huge move on earnings. Now setting up this secondary move. I would maybe look to take this inside day long. We'll see how it sets up tomorrow. I really like this action, huge move, and now just digesting it over here. Man, Birkenstock. Earnings move takes to the new highs, consolidates for a day, and just kind of ran. So I don't think they'll give us a shot at that one, but I think that one looks really good. And then this First Solar, I mean, yes, it had a crazy move. And there's definitely overbought. It needs to work on this flag. I'm glad it didn't just run today. If it kind of just, flags out here for the next few days and then eventually it goes for that 280, 290 area. This is, look at this chart on the monthly chart. It's going for, what is it, the 20-year breakout?
Mhm.
Now, normally I'm like, these levels don't really mean much.
Mhm.
Did you see MU this year? Have you seen Micron? They had some good AI news. The stock's been hiding for years, and it just kind of ripped through that huge level.
Mhm.
I wasn't, at the time, I wasn't very much paying attention to this,
Mhm.
but I look at the volume when it takes out that level to the upside and it just
Mhm.
kind of keeps ripping. So
The only
I
thing-
think this First Solar is kind of like the beginning of a huge change of composure in these
Mhm.
solars. I don't think this is just like a one and done move. I'm not like, chomping at the bits to buy this thing. If it sets up perfectly, I buy it, but I
Mhm.
think you just got to follow the strength. So lots to watch out there. Keeping a big watch list. I'll definitely be looking to take some longs later on in the week. Didn't really do much today, but I think a lot's setting up for some good action to the upside. What are you looking at over there?
Yeah. The one thing I didn't want to interrupt you when you were talking was the only difference between those two, like the MU and the First Solar example, is like MU had like the multiple attempts where like First Solar is getting that first major
Right.
attempt at that 20-year. So like gets up there, pulls back in, and then you get that like huge move higher.
Yeah. Agree. I agree with that.
Give me uno momento. Let me share my screen. What is going on here? Oh, why? Hold on. There we go. It was like showing the Discord screen. All right, so I'll touch on a couple sectors briefly. So again, we had like you mentioned, we had this really strong action on Friday, and a lot of the sectors got away from, these tight sport buyback entries. So the information on Friday gave us these like really defined pivot lows. Thursday, Friday lows in most of the major markets, major sectors. That's like the line in the sand for now, but we get that major run up off that low, and it's hard to trade off that. It's hard to just chase. Like if we had a Monday morning gap and we continue higher, it'd be very hard to chase versus that pivot. Consumer discretionaries was one of them where, it was, even though it bounced on Friday, it wasn't so dramatically overbought that you couldn't add to it. For example, today we're on like the flip side, something like consumer staples, that entry on Friday, very hard today to put on, risk versus this pivot low. So, a lot of things just bounced really hard, really strong on Friday's low. It wasn't too shocking that, we had somewhat of a pull in coming into this week, even like the, Dow 30, huge move on Friday, and just hard to expect that same continuation to come into this week. Have to expect a little bit of kind of a shakeout. So, the big thing for me, again, I've just been, very much in this T-Mobile with
Killed that.
crazy day today. Today's day was like
Did you trim so many?
I didn't, just because I know think Tim sold some, and I think Tesla, she might have sold some, but I'm sticking with it again. I've been watched this name for so long. It was the whole year I watched this name. So it did seem like a little like short term, probably short term top in the name, just given how drastic this kind of like, I don't want to say a blow off top move in of it was this run up, but pretty blow offy, So,
It just needs to digest. It's such a huge move for
yeah,
that name.
it's tough. Like if I was to, I sell it today and then a month from now it's at like 185 or whatever it is. And it's like, I don't want to, I've spent enough time watching it. I don't want to like rush out the first down day. Even if it pulls back in and has to retest as 166, kind of is what it is. I'm just trilling it, versus the weekly for now. Again, on the weekly, I got plenty of room to get myself to not get shaken out in a sense. Couple other ones again. This Meta, I almost got tipped into this one today. Again, we have the weekly.
Yeah, it looks good.
The weekly here. You switch over to our daily. So again, I feel like we kind of like took Meta off our like radar recently after kind of that earnings gap down. But again, very defined little entry here, looking to buy up there's 480. And what I was trying to mention this morning on like the pre-market call is that these little shakeouts, these are often the times where when the name's really tight and you can buy 480 perfectly versus 460, and then you get that day where it shakes out and now your new risk is like versus here. A lot of times, even for myself, I'm like, oh, I don't want to buy 480 versus 450. Like the risk is now much greater, where you needed that shakeout and it's right back level to kind of have people chase through this 480 area. So I'm not going to buy 480 versus 450. I'll have more like a tighter, like momentum kind of entry. Well, okay, I'll buy 480, give it versus low a day. Okay, 470, just keep it simple. And I'll look for, more of a momentum trade than the T-Mobile where I want to give it versus the weekly low because it's a much more, established pattern. So keep an eye on that one. Also, this Piper, PIPR, another similar example where, again, last week, very tight flag up here, 215, this blue sky breakout area, through all-time highs, and then shakes out and breaks support. All right, well, now the risk is now, $9 in this range versus a much tighter, $5. But this Meta and this Piper were those similar examples where normally I'd want to pass on it if it gets back up here after the shakeout. But still a very good pattern. I don't want to move on in the name because a lot of names got shaken out. So just keep an eye on those names. A little bit more shorter watches for the week. So that's really it on mine. Let me see if there's anything else. Again, these mid cap and small caps both flagging, really nicely out here. Almost identical. But very sure, a lot of the charges look very strong. That's it's very hard to find, real weakness. Again, energy kind of got really smoked today, but we've just seen it, in a short-term breakdown stage after, the really strong run it was on for most of this year. So this isn't that surprising just because it's in this breakdown stage, but a lot of the other sectors, telecom, we want to see T-Mobile push higher. We want to see this telecom sector break out of this flag. And we're just seeing a lot of strength just kind of across the board. We're seeing a lot of higher pivot lows forming financials. We're seeing here's pivot low, higher pivot low, higher pivot low. So we're seeing a lot of strength across the board. Again, except for even like the REITs, kind of catching a little bit of a bid where like energy, REITs were also in not as aggressive of a breakdown stage, but we can see, let me move these lines out of the way. We can see, the downward channel REITs have been in. And as of late, this is the low, higher pivot low forms, and now another higher pivot low forms. Maybe the REITs are starting to shift out of this breakdown stage and shifting more into that stage one base. And eventually from that base, you get that breakout stage back to high. So I think broadly, we just have a lot of strength across the board. And again, for the index, I just feel like we need to expect more of a flag to kind of form in this range, call it, 540 versus, just keep it simple, like 540 versus 510. Like we should expect in the short term a flag to start to form here. And then if it flags it nicely, maybe we get a push higher. But that's my expectations, is a little bit more range bound over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'd probably anticipate that sort of action. Yeah, I'm really liking the underlying strength we're seeing on a lot of these sectors. I think we got some good trading ahead of us.
I mean, I think anything else you want to go over?
I mean, today was the first day in so long I just sat here. Just sat here and watched for 6.5 hours, watched it all. I mean, I think things are setting up really nicely. We'll see. It's always so interesting to me doing so much weekend research, Friday strength versus Monday strength, where it's like energy looks so good coming into the week, and then it just dumped all day. We saw like the semis were very weak Friday. We thought Nvidia might, cause a greater pull in. That's taking new all-time highs now. So you really, really got to have your finger on the pulse of this market when the week starts. We've been seeing the action switch up week to week, but things look good. Definitely want to be selective, but I think there's a lot of good stuff working, or good stuff coming. Definitely planning on being aggressive later this week if we get some tight entries. Right now it's tough because we had that huge range Friday, then another huge range today. So most stocks got pushed and pulled with it. So I didn't see a lot of tight entries out there the way I like to kind of enter names. So I just chilled today, but I think we'll see some good setup soon.
All right, I think it's that time.
It's that time. Like, subscribe, comment. You got any questions for us? We're here for you. I guess that's all we got. Pretty concise. Things are looking pretty good. We'll see how it develops the rest of the week. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Right.
All right.
If you think you're going to get rich overnight trading, we're not for you. If you don't want to read daily or weekly to improve upon yourself, we're not for you. If you're not interested in saving weekly and building your accounts for the long term, we're not for you. If you're not looking to improve yourself daily, we're not for you. If you do want to build wealth for the long term, read weekly, save weekly, do all the right things for the long game, then we might be for you.